Our final guest this evening was once simultaneously the dating columnist for an alternative news weekly, bridal editor for a society rag, and the religion reporter for a gay and lesbian newspaper. Her new book, Hello, American Lady Creature, is a darkly humorous memoir about getting everything she ever thought she wanted. Please give a warm welcome to Lisa Kirchner.
Totally fine. Okay. Yeah, I am. It's better that way. But you guys are really, you look so good, I gotta get a picture. So hang on, if you'll indulge me for I can make it arty so nobody's, oh my God. Yeah.
Landscape.
Cantilever.
Cantilever, that's good. If I,
Wait, I blinked.
If I was really good, I would turn on that, like, 3D thing that you do. I don't even know what it's called. Somebody said it. Hi, guys. This is my book. It's... Woo! Thank you. It's a real shit show to get a book published these days. It is, it's brutal. I could tell a whole story about that. Woo! But what I'm really excited about is that I found a press that I kind of got to publish the book that I wanted to publish, which was harder than I thought it would be, because I can tell it like it is. So each chapter I start off with a little bit of Arabic and then some more stuff. And, I had a little trouble starting this book because I didn't go to Qatar in trouble. It wasn't the lady memoir where I start off in the bathroom like, oh, woe is me, I've got to go on a trip. It was more like... It was more, and I certainly was not planning to write a memoir. I didn't go into an agent's office and say, hey, let's get me a big advance to do this. What happened was my world fell apart when I went to Qatar, completely and utterly, and I was completely and utterly unprepared for it. So I start, my introduction kind of starts in the middle to give you a little taste. But since Ramadan just started, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read for you a little bit about the joy of celebrating Ramadan in the Muslim world for non-Muslims such as myself. Salam alaikum, the peace of God with you. Standard greeting in the Arab world. Wa alaikum assalam is the somewhat standard reply, meaning and also with you. These get much cattier as the book goes on. Introduction. I had moved there in 2004, so I started Doha, Qatar, February 2006. Once again, my eyes aren't even open, and I have that desperate feeling. I am desperate for a shag. It is true what they say about women in their late 30s and teenage boys. Sadly, that's not all we share. Despite the advantages I should have accrued, I'm not getting any either. Forget about sex. Here in Qatar, dating is illegal. For everyone, even a green-eyed blonde from Pittsburgh who wasn't raised with words like shag. Not that I'm looking for a date. I miss my husband. This is so not what I had in mind for the Persian Gulf when I took that university marketing job. Ostensibly, we'd moved to set my beloved up in a safe and centrally located country in order to pursue his dream of becoming a freelance foreign correspondent. I'd moved to make our relationship bulletproof. I always wanted Jeff at my side. But the whole journalism thing hadn't panned out, and he'd recently returned to the States to look for work. I blamed Qatar as I pawed the nightstand for my vibrator. Thank God the guys at Customs are afraid of anything stuffed in a box of tampons. The batteries are dead. It hasn't even been a month since Jeff went to look for work. Have I been using this thing that much? When I can't pretend to lie still anymore, I reach for the nightstand to find the time on my mobile, another Britishism that has crept into my vocabulary in this country of very few American expats. It's 5:35 a.m. I may be a morning person, but this is ridiculous. It's Saturday, there is no alarm, no one to see, nowhere to be, and I am wide awake. I've been backsliding on sleep since Jeff left. Please, God, don't let it get as bad as our first year in Qatar. Not even Sophie or Grandpa stir as I push out of bed until they hear the food hit their bowls. While I wait for the coffee to brew, I notice the harmonica I'd given Jeff for Christmas is in a basket on the counter in plain view. I must have been seeing it every day these past 3 weeks since he left. I just haven't actually seen it. No wonder he left it behind. I lifted to my nose, hoping for a drag of my beloved. It smells like metal. I tucked the instrument into my robe, thinking I'll surprise him with it when I see him. In just 10 days, we're going to rendezvous in the U.S., the first of 2 such trips I've planned during our time apart. Maybe I should look around and see what else he's forgotten. Start the process of deciding what to keep and what to give away. When the school year ends, I plan to pack up, join my partner of 7 years, and never look back. Coffee in hand, I pad back up the stairs. This time, Sophie and Grandpa are right behind me. Somewhat tentatively, I push open the door of the 3rd bedroom, Jeff's room that I haven't been in since he left. Not that I went in much when he was there. We'd shared the master bedroom, the 2nd room was my closet, and this had been his. What a godsend. I might have to rearrange our house in Pittsburgh like this. He should always have his own space to be messy in, and I should always have my own bathroom. Will we ever have the luxury of separate baths again, or even move back to Pittsburgh? My other half is in Buffalo, working at the same newspaper he'd been at when we first met. He says it's temporary, but I wasn't happy about it. It's a job that won't pay the bills. And meanwhile, our house is sitting empty. The house we just renovated. All that scraping, the rewiring, moving walls. Now is not the time to go down that road. Jeff and I had decided that these 6 months apart were practical, if not ideal. His journalism career, which we thought would soar by being at the center of world news, had stalled. He was not a natural freelancer. You guys, I don't say this right here, but he took a job on the campus where I worked, and here I am, like in the center of the world's patriarchy, and I am running the meetings while my husband is taking the notes. Guys, it's bad. I was like, I'm outed as the ball-busting feminazi I never wanted to be. Okay, so there I am. Besides, somebody had to pay the mortgage on that heat-leaching Victorian. Oh, I was talking about how I couldn't leave Qatar because I had responsibilities. Besides, somebody had to pay the mortgage on that heat-leaching Victorian. There had been plenty of times I couldn't shut off my doubts, but Jeff reassured me, it's only temporary, and you'd be miserable in Buffalo over the winter. Well, true that. I mean, come on. Probably any time. I slide back the closet door. That's a good one. I know, in Buffalo. I slide back the closet door and start flicking through the hangers. Sophie and Grandpa track the movement, eyes and heads drooping. I hear one of them snore. Then I make contact with Gore-Tex. Pushing the clothes apart, I spy my husband's winter coat, the first pricey gift I'd ever given him, a present while we were dating. At the time, we lived in separate states. He in New York, I Pennsylvania. To offer him something more substantive than his thrift store wool overcoat gave me a secret thrill, as if I could protect him when I wasn't even there. Now the jacket looks lost and forlorn, not even encased in plastic. I reached for its sleeve, relating. I had felt equally out of place in this sweltering desert. I'm going to put it in the take to Pittsburgh pile, and then it hits me. And I stop. It's February. My other half has just left our desert home in Doha for the North American tundra that is Buffalo, New York. My beloved might not be the most thorough of packers, but how could he have possibly forgotten this? It's his only winter coat. Panic washes over my body. Is it some kind of a sign? But it can't be. Despite my disappointment over his employment choices and our subsequent fight, he just sent me an email saying he loved me and couldn't wait to hear the sound of my voice. I don't want to take my crazy to him again. A self-diagnosed friend-dependent, I'm going to skip a little bit and tell you I called my friend Paul. I asked him to meet me at the city center mall. Not my favorite of Doha, because I want to read the Ramadan stuff and I don't want to run out of time. I asked him to meet me at the city center mall. Not my favorite of Doha's 8 cavernous shopping malls, but then I don't really like any of them. It baffles me that 8 malls are required in a city with barely 400,000 people, most of whom can't afford to shop in them, roughly the size of Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's on 3, I'm telling him on the phone, so you have to walk past the skating rink, not toward the movie theater or the children's amusement park. You have to go to that weird outer perimeter. That's the weird part of that sentence. He needs the directions because I've asked him to meet me at the Starbucks less traveled, the one on the 3rd floor, where locals ward off the expats with their cologne and cigarettes. Not only can I bum a smoke up here, I can huff it down without being seen. I recently started teaching yoga, and I don't want my students to see me smoking. There are no smoking signs here. We ignore them, just like at the Starbucks on the 1st floor. When Paul arrives, I tell there's a lot of smoking in here, but you know what? My addictions did fall away. We did. You get that? When Paul arrives, I tell him about finding Jeff's coat in the closet, needing him to confirm that my evidence is inconclusive at best. After listening thoughtfully, he says, he's Canadian, I'm sorry you lost your husband. Then Paul starts laughing. And I get it. Joke! This is exactly why I called him. Paul knows this is part of our plan, the plan whereby I took a job I didn't really want so that my husband might advance his career, so that eventually he might take the reins. None of it had worked, in fact, until now. He'd taken charge by leaving for the States to find employment. Though lately he'd been working at his temporary job in Buffalo so hard, I couldn't imagine how he'd have time to look for other work, or how he'd get away to help me move our stuff back to the States. When we stopped laughing, I agree with Paul. He never thinks about the cold, not like me. That's just how he is. It's like that one sentence email he sent me on Valentine's Day. I trail off, remembering his words. Hi, doll. I'm sorry I've been such a jerk. He's like the absent-minded professor. I go on, really, I'm more surprised at how little he did leave behind. He's usually not quite so thorough. The Pittsburgh pile I put together that morning consisted of only 3 items: the harmonica, the coat, and Jeff's college diploma. Everything turns out fine in the end, Paul reassures me without, I'd realize much later, actually assuring me of anything. If it's not fine, you're just not at the end yet. I was nowhere near the end, and I didn't even know how I'd gotten to this place. I needed to go home and smoke and try to figure this out, retrace my steps from the beginning. I went to the Carrefour and bought a carton of Dunhills that night. Ramadan Kareem. Ramadan, the holiest holiday of the Muslim calendar, 29 or 30 days that move around the calendar based on lunar cycles. For Muslims, it's meant to be a time of reflection, which looks a lot like a month-long Christmas party during which the daytime deprivation is followed by nighttime feasting. For expats living in Qatar, it is a time of panic, as there's nowhere to eat and no booze is sold. For 29 or 30 days. This makes people very cranky. Ramadan Kareem, season's greetings in the Muslim world. Literally, have a bountiful Ramadan. Doha, Qatar, September 2004. Dozens of us were assembled in the lobby of the Qatar Foundation, the charitable organization that ran Education City. We called the complex a multiversity because the campus was also home to undergraduate branches of Weill Cornell, Texas A&M, Virginia Commonwealth, Georgetown, and Northwestern. The incredible expense of such an endeavor boggles the mind, but it didn't stop there. The foundation's other pursuits included a diabetic association, adult diabetes being a major ailment among locals, a science and technology park, great for ultimately putting campus ideas into the marketplace, and Royal Horse Stables. The whole thing was headed up by Her Highness Sheikha Moza bin Nasser Al Misnad, a woman referred to as the Emir's consort, and the only one of his 3 wives ever seen in public. The entire press corps turned out, as had most of the PR department teams, all to witness the unveiling of Her Highness's website. No, this wasn't big in 2004, but when Her Highness held a press conference, you went. The swag bag alone made it worth the trip. We got a Mont Blanc pen and planner, which I still have. But as we sat waiting for the proceedings to commence, the foundation's head of PR, not the same as Her Highness's PR team, grew restless. I cannot believe how they're unable to get this sound working. Wait, why am I making him sound Australian? He's British. Guys, he's totally British. I don't know what just happened there. Because this sentence is totally his Britishness. Robert snickered. How on earth are these bumbleheads planning to put on the... Now he sounds Irish. I don't know what's happening. Yes, thank you. He's going all around Europe. I love Robert's candor. At our first meeting, he'd cited incompetence and inertia as 2 of the foundation's guiding principles. I've enjoyed his company ever since. An Irishman, oh, he was Irish, who'd spent much of his adult life in London. Robert had been, Robert had been a BBC correspondent for many years. The Doha debates were to be hosted by his former employer, the BBC, broadcasting directly out of the room where we stood watching people futz about with microphones. I knew the foundation would throw whatever money was needed at resolving any problems, but I wondered how well debates would go over in this culture. Our professors were having trouble convincing our students they could raise their hands in class to ask questions. Education in Qatar is largely rote memorization, not the dialectical model. I only hope we get out of here before lunch, so Robert said. So weird accent is always Robert. What? I demanded. The cafeteria doesn't close for another hour and a half. Even as I said it, I knew full well this could happen. Her Highness was famous for making people wait. Why did she call a press conference during lunch? I can't not eat. Well then, Ramadan shall be an exciting time for you, he said. There's this American. That hit a nerve. I winced, encouraging Robert, who knew about my hypoglycemic tendencies. Did you hear that last year Maha from Texas A&M was pulled over by a policeman for eating a breakfast bar in her car? No. What? She's Lebanese, right? I thought expats would get a bit of a break. Oh, no, they're most strict with other Arabs, Robert said, particularly if they suspect they're Christians like Maha. No one would ever accuse me of looking like an Arab, yet I dreaded this upcoming holiday. Frankly, I didn't get it. How is it possible that the Prophet Muhammad, who lived in an age that predated air conditioning, thought his people needed a better understanding of what it meant to suffer? You guys, people are right to be angry about the FIFA situation. I'm just telling you. They say 110, they're lying. It's actually hotter than that. They don't really tell the truth. Even the way it was organized was painful. The holy month moved around the calendar according to lunar cycles. Each year it started later than the year before, circling the calendar every 23 years or so. Of course, there are calendars that show approximate dates, but only the imam can say exactly when Ramadan starts, and that only happens at the last minute. Why doesn't somebody get a farmer's almanac? I quit. Robert didn't even crack a smile. Maybe it wasn't that funny, or maybe he didn't know what a farmer's almanac was. I was having a hard enough time just being understood. Forget about irony. Expats may have been the majority in Qatar, but there were more Kiwis than Americans back then. It was quite isolating. Think about trying to go a day without using humor or anything idiomatic in your speech. Multiply by 3 years. Thanks.